study for eternity. This is a system, educational system, going back to Greek days and beyond that. It was a very good system as far as it went. And it was wonderful education. And that at that time, the mystical and the scientific and mathematics, it was all the same. One thing was not separate from another thing. But if you studied studied mathematics, you were studying yourself. If you studied biology, you were studying yourself. If you were studying geometry and surveying even, you were studying yourself. The inner nature, the inner character, that which is of nature. I guess you could say the flaw in it, or that which might have been lacking, you might say, is that it was all men. And men have to have their rituals, They have to have their procedures and so forth. But the women were denied. Imagine an education system based kind of half on what we see coming out of Greece and those countries, and half by the influence of women who take an entirely different approach. Whereas men set up structures and situations of testing and competition and so forth, women bring about a fragrance in the air, that would settle everything out. It's like the flowing of a river. And for you men folk, if you've ever sat back and just watched a group of women talking together, without a man present, you'll see things and hear things you will not understand. And that needs to be brought into the educational system itself as well. As far as what's happening today, if things could, let's see. There is a possibility here that the powers that be, economic powers that be, would want to do away with the university system entirely and have it completely, job training. And also psychological conditioning over a long period of time. In 1984, Brave New World, going beyond even that. And even so far as to the movie Tex 1138. But let's take that worst case scenario that does happen, and suddenly there are no universities. But there are professors who still wanted to teach. Well, you don't have a building, you don't have books, you don't have internet access, probably, or maybe. But because you don't have a building, it have to be outdoors. And this is how they used to teach, oftentimes. The following is a paper written some years ago addressing this. Please forgive the naivety. It's more or less a kind of a rambling of the mind and innocence. It's called The College, a Proposal. In the tradition of the ancient Greeks and rishis of India, the college is to be outdoors. among the trees in meadows or in a savanna and under the dome of the sky. Facilities would be provided in case of bad weather, but under normal conditions, being in nature is the ideal setting for the study and the realizations of truth. The senses are then attuned to nature and in accordance with their field of study, be it sciences, the humanities, or any of the liberal arts, as all is grounded in naturalness. Constantly being in nature in the flow of the seasons will affect how learning takes place. Spring and summer are of extroversion, while autumn and winter encourages introversion. During so-called bad weather, fierce concentration on the subject at hand will take experience beyond those discomforts. With an enthusiasm for learning, discomforts have the effect of pushing the student as well as the instructor deeper into the lucid and effortless realms of higher intellect. Requirements. The college. The first requirements are for the college itself. This should not be a place for training, that is, job training, but for training the mind and heart toward the attainment of knowledge. Possibilities for the study of natural truth would open wide. There may be two colleges, one for the young men, the other for young women, and well apart from each other. This is a place for study, and that is all, set aside from matters of society. An atmosphere of asceticism may be most beneficial. As to the instructors, Ralph Waldo Emerson's viewpoint may be considered that they be inspirers, not mere tutors. That this be a place for truthfulness, it is a place for philosophy, primarily in the classical and the Eastern sense. In ancient times, the study of science and mathematics was the study of virtue. The study itself had a transformative effect upon the psyche, meaning the soul. In this sense, truth is virtue, as the altruism of naturalness is the essential altruism or goodness of the human being. This college would be a place where the ancient way may be revived so that a mind that is not profound may become profound. From the genius of nature as to the environment and self-experience, the student might find his or her own special genius. Such may be the requirement as to all the professors. Their primary focus would be on the causal arts, not that of rude matters, and on the profundity of nature, which is the profundity of the student, to produce graduates who are knowledgeable, ingenious, virtuous, and wise. Requirements. The student. The chief requirement for being accepted into the college is that there is already present in the student some light of virtue. There must be as well an eagerness and a capacity for learning, a penchant for self-discipline, self-sacrifice, and self-examination would be highly valued. And as Plato stipulated, he or she must be a lover of truth. The love of truth must take precedence over religious, social, economic, or political inclinations, opinions, etc. The student must be able to read and write and be proficient in mathematics at the college level. These requirements are not as written in stone. For the most part, leeway should be granted from an attitude of compassion. In the spirit of a classical education and in respect to the body's nature, the use of electronic devices may be kept to a bare minimum. Even books are not entirely necessary. Rather, attention and comprehension on the part of the student are greatly needed. A well-trained memory and the ability to take extensive handwritten notes. The curriculum. The course of study may be as to the mental arts, memory and comprehension, logic and reasoning, mental equanimity, introspective awareness, self-understanding, self-control and redirection, conversation and argument, writing and comprehension. Natural philosophy, liberal arts, the humanities.
mathematics, the sciences, history, literature, art, mythology, philosophy, and religion as to transcendence, realization, and transformation. Comparison would be for the sake of natural discrimination as well as for similitude and for bringing to light universal essences. Preparation for returning to society. Maintaining independence for the personal power gained therein, and the college staff may facilitate gaining mainstream job training elsewhere toward a chosen career field. Developing an altruistic intent of being a teacher of wisdom for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see. And there's a brief bibliography. It could be longer. Recommended reading and videos.
There's a custom in both Greece and in India that teaching outdoors is best because you're surrounded by nature. And what you're studying is nature. No matter what you're studying nature. And so it all kind of rolls into one. Imagine such a school. And you begin with the basics, as in all things. And as the time goes by, what you learn in those basics will begin to extend, extend into other areas. And the professors must also come to the resolution, or resignation maybe, that yes, everything is alive. There's not anything that is dead, inert, completely inert. Everything has a life of its own, by its own nature. And that's connected. That life is connected everywhere, and approach the study of wisdom from that viewpoint. Now, why that particular kind of understanding about things? Because that was the original. Going back to the original religion on this planet, which is shamanism and animism. Yeah, that there is one life, and everything is that one life. That's the oldest religion on the planet, animism and shamanism. Bring it back. It's time to bring it back. And with that, bring back honoring the mother and allow her influence to spread in the educational system itself. The nurturing of the mother cannot be surpassed by anything. There's no greater love than a mother's love. Have that in the educational system as well. It'll loosen up a lot of the competitiveness, I guess, and so forth, testing and whatnot in the system. At any rate, the influence of the mother must come back to the educational system. It will solve a lot of the problems that exist now and that has existed for a very long time. Okay. That's it.